Alright guys, so we are going to look at transform plate boundaries today. So we've been through our divergent and our convergent. Remember the different types of divergent. You have oceanic plate and the continental plate, and your different types of convergent or oceanic. I forgot, oh my goodness, oceanic, continental, and continental oceanic. So don't forget those. You want to review your notes because after the video, you have an activity that you need to do. In addition, as we go through this video, there will be times where I'll say stop, and there will be a direction given to you. You will need to copy these notes, and you will need to watch through the video. Okay? Please make sure for this slide that you watch both videos. If the clicking on them does not work for this particular PowerPoint, I've also copied them with your classroom documents on Google Classroom so that you can just go ahead and watch them from there as well. Alright guys, pause the video after this direction. So pause the video, copy your notes, and then hit playback so we can go ahead and give you these directions. Give you the instruction for the video slide. Okay, by now you should have copied your notes for that slide, and you've pressed the play button and we're good to go. So we're looking at transform boundaries. Now, transform boundaries do not create or destroy the crust. So we learned in divergent plate boundaries, the magma comes up through the middle, and that's what spreads those plate boundaries apart at the divergent plate, and that's where new seafloor is created, or the crust is created. Now, once it spreads out, it has to go in somewhere and get destroyed, because remember, our Earth doesn't expand. So they get destroyed at the convergent plates, at the trenches. So crust is created at the ridges, destroyed at the trenches. Okay, with convergent plate boundaries. So with your transform plates, they're not creating or destroying again either one of those. Matter of fact, they don't create anything other than earthquakes. That is the only thing that transform boundaries are solely responsible for. Not even volcanoes. Alright, so the San Andreas Fault. Stop, pause the video, go ahead and copy your notes before you hit play again. Alright, by now you should have copied your notes for this. So we're going to look at the San Andreas Fault, which we've actually talked about in class on several occasions. Now, the San Andreas Fault is a transform boundary that runs through California. And this is one of the reasons it has the most earthquakes of any other state, is it runs right through. Now remember, California is in that Pacific Ring of Fire where you have a lot of the volcanoes and the earthquakes. But again, the transform boundary does not create landforms such as volcanoes. It is solely responsible for the earthquakes. So remember, when they slide past each other, remember it says horizontally slide, okay, like the electric slide, you have these earthquakes that are happening. And it's also in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is known for its earthquakes and volcanoes. So no notes to copy here. You just need to see this is a close-up of the direction of which way those transform boundaries actually go. No notes copied here. What you're looking at is something we've actually seen on several occasions of the boundaries. And notice the arrows and which direction the arrows are flowing. And these are different types of plate. And as you can see, the North American plate is right where California is. Alright, pause right here, copy your notes. These are going to be on your test and your quiz. So the very next section, pay close attention to. Alright, stop, copy your notes that you have. Okay, so now we're looking at convection current. And the convection current is the reasons for your plate movement. Now remember our boiling pot of water we've talked about. Your hotter water is closer to your heat source. So once the water heats, it becomes less dense and it's going to float to the top. Now some of the water does evaporate out, But most of your water at that time is going to actually get cooler, become more dense, and sink back down. Okay, then it warms and you start this whole process again. So when it comes to the harder parts of the mantle, it's the same thing. Hotter parts of the mantle rise while cooler parts sink. And this puts a force on the lithosphere that drives the plate movement that we have. All right, stop, copy your notes. All right, so we're looking at the ridge push. Now at this point you have a ridge push. And a ridge push, it says along mid-ocean ridges, new oceanic crust is created as magma rises from the mantle. So right there at that divergent plate, it is creation of the new ocean floor. So what you have is the magma rising, okay? And when it cools, it becomes more denser. So you go from liquid magma to harder rock. And we talked about that being the igneous rock process. So cooling and hardening. So when the rock gets cool, it becomes more dense than that liquid, and this exerts a force that starts to push things out. That is your ridge push. Okay? So it's when the lithospheric plate gets pushed further out. So magma rises, cools, and now we have that movement. All right, stop, copy your notes. So now you have a slab pull. So we saw where we have our ridge push, because the ridges are created at divergent plate boundaries. What's pushing them? The slab pull is happening at a convergent plate boundary. Okay? And at the convergent plate boundary, I want you to think about the fact that one plate is more dense than the other plate. Whatever it is, the denser plate always wins out. So because the plate is denser, it helps pull the rest of the plate down with it. So think about if you're wearing a jacket and you got some keys or something heavy inside your pocket. You go to put it on the table or a chair, wherever you decide you want to put it. Well, the keys in your pocket are heavy. So when you go to put it on the table, if you don't put it all the way on, then those keys are going to be what drags your jacket off the chair or off the table. So that's that slab pull. It's just whatever is denser is moving downward. Okay, so right now what you have is a set of assessment questions. And along in your Google Classroom, it says answer these questions in the Google Doc. So you'll go back to Google Classrooms, look at your Google Doc, and answer these questions. Now, your name is already attached to this document. Do not send it, please listen, do not send it to me in a separate attachment. I'm not going to grade it, okay? Don't hit the share button on the side. What you need to go to is Google Classrooms and hit turn it in, okay? Or turn in, I can't remember off the top of my head. But these assessment questions need to be done in Google Docs. There will be a grade put on these. If you need additional help, look at your notes, review part of some of the videos.